Badwam wo Adom TV multi TV. So abra so say pese muju medi no ye de bro medi ka ka free adwada ekopi me fiada ye de bro e wa no say Lucky Herbal Clinic for one other Roman asan kita wonde we ye de ebro enti make sure say ya de bia da ne kranko bia no but be kwakodom Lucky Herbal Clinic for no one dey inside also. Text message line here 1760 now they are brain Fabre and terminate Benji Prince and come out and terminal Bibia and TV and cause on pay and Cosi Pratt one of the Cosi Pratt Marche Bibia Boko the phone and then I say I will feel or true a Jacum so called Fantiaqua South or an honorable Marche Boko there you suka crack who's Boko
Boko I know she so more.
Then as usual, the line
economy could do her can have MP who pay Johnny.
Would do what? MP who pay Johnny.
This is 7 easy, but I'm over.
Now, quite when I also always have problem because MPB are wanting to be an school fees and Apomodine and no about yet a necessary requirement. How your MPs will go through another.
In fact, we'll be fully say. The problem be our no to mean so no. OMP no was said yes.
Muna mama na yesa na isani ifi.
Me nyini MPs na na yesa, but over the years no. We share over the years na. Nze the nipa bebre nim the role of MPs. And MP for not to become I mean say be a call a promise bebre ni and there. Na fe do what. To me what I'm trying to do to say baby to say no money at this my setting up a welfare system, a contributory welfare system. I take care of a year. They say no, how do you mean too much for it because I say be a 1 cedi a month.
In a year, you have a kind of responsibilities.
Oh, a year, bear 16, 17 every weekend.
A year.
Hey, now. Go for time when you are as no president. Hey, capital says be a member, be a member, be my many of a beer will near back at your MP one call a year back round. If you chrome crack, it can be a big issue. So, you chrome voice, but they say ye be a bar and two beba. Until okay, I could do also so. That's it, if you're Bakubina or you will be to invite your career. Bonsoir. As about a work on a unit, so will be idea. What do you mean? I said, when invite me and now winner was him a year. And who quay and what prepare because we work on a chrome on a year 4, 5, 6, 7. Back up baby no be or yet or down for and I be a party, maybe also make up 1 a year. When you're so bouncing,
yes, kind of free.
Who's just kind of free? And yet, Sika, I kept your career the mayor and I kept your nana was at the bonza. Not any day. If you were in that, what would
you do? Atani Delali I think they are here and they will go for summer. They will give room for a cry. The Maya, not a
I'm saying, honorable Kano. It's red no more baby, I say. Nintia or mino, young coin. Nintia or mino, a sick as some, I finish a train. Nintia Newman, cause you need, no. I'm saying, the case free her. Now they say embrace Bedwania, send your honorable kind. The Pembia Okoye Edusia 16. Now embrace Bedwania so Okoye, I want to be born south to send you about 100, 150. And you crab 500.
200, 300, 400, 200, 300.
Now Okobo 500, 16.
Every weekend.
Every weekend. And we have 40 million every weekend. 40 million cedis. 4,000 Ghana cedis every weekend. Wakotiano, and so 1 week po there. And so 1 week po there. In the bed, then, Kitashani Pro in Jare. Now, Kobos answer why we bear 4,000 Ghana cedis every weekend. Upetra would they conquer. Uka, Tianwe, and Kahon. And tomorrow be frako a year near Kahu. Now we used to not be fear, and Opebia and when any power move by best dear last one bed school fees. Everybody hospital bills, when you crab 20 to 50, and Opebia.
And you when you're okay.
wanya kra ebinom de bro ha a wo be sorry ahmachele nipa asalai madam fu bi na oye MP na osan deputy minister na ahmachi 4 o'clock and uncle for start say wo mu 82 something ba ni so no oda to no sorry be 5:30 no na nipa be 50 and sam na boa no na otise ba ko ka say na MP kra ni suban kra te say ni 5:30 no no oda aye pesika dia ko hospital no no oda ese enakra wunya bi no akoda ohu nyamse ni na no ejina yempanimfo no so ejina MPs na nkasa so wonu munnim niasi ye na ye man ne tumpon na so how ye da wo musu kura beti se adisua ya hyehyɛ ni yie ohu na teacher fo e kira de yie na obi anya dwumaye na ne otumi ne satumi kɔ na no ne ade aka how da musu bebe keso beti masa efe de so bi be sorry ahmacha be trust say me ba ya na ma me scan fa ne ko hospital efe de wo mo yesa bebre eni wo mu no mo de ye o haw mu no mo de ye nso mo ye dwuma ni ye na sa hoto no ba mo nkata mo haw no so eso beti asese ani akọ no masa am say da no ahai na mbeka no many majority leader kodi nkomo am say weekend ifra yi san komodie no bededi en wo ka say MP ba ko bosom yesu ye no en wo de ni pay slip e ko chere no atitina manaka 200 Ghana cedis wo bobusi atwa de hu nyinara ono a obobusi de akotoka ono a ayi wo bobusi de eni wo bebre ntibusi na atwa de hu ahia ntibusum yesu ye tete no no aka 200 Ghana cedis
ashebe dwanye no no de
negative
MP
Hey, we go high negative grant.
Na wo MP no abobusi atwa hu na hia na busum ya so ne ma 200 na se wo kwa yie ayi 16 a week ni ade
eso wan konso
Na ba sa de na chese corner wonko.
wan konso so 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 wan konso sa ko na se ulusu anu
enti se bill bi beto parliament oh ebia mining companies bill bi beto parliament what didn't ya
So see a beer.
na se bia etini ka sam sa so na bill bi abeda ho na mining companies ye nyamra bi no mo so mu nya kwai na isikai ebi kodi o mo nsam na MP onu anu beto aduane di kra di ma eso kwayi wan kwayi e be vote against no mu se temptation e wo no so pa wo sa temptation no so masa ya samu ya samu Ghana
1760 now the text message not right na etimakin quickly you should know me anyway and na ya TSC issues issues about president response or the say the issue about progressive secondary education and the birthright of any political party or personality. Na yenhwe Pastor Mensa Otabel or also Okojina legacy for one country platform so or the adventure biaba say baby ayedunu yema ani embre kakra as on mine koya kopim say all kase na no da afo ano Mercy Cratch asimo kai no man penyin so share ma e ma hye bedwam no di ba bia na ni ya yin kakra nti e wo se ye biewu se ye ni abre as oman se be se nya nsakire eni mpuntuo e wo ya brabo agbezo me sha se wo
so am say enede ni Pastor Mensa Otabe kai woni ni di achini a eniyi masa oman ya timu a ensuo kura ye kra ensuo ya dum kura ye kra omaya ye timu mbeburu nya dumanye esikasem aye poto na ye de pastor nkwan ye bibia na ye de aye pastor am say Pastor Mensa Otabe ka say ye nimre ya na odika say ye nimre uhwe ye ni ye ya asani a omana etimu no asani bibia ekoso totin eso yi na nim say omana etimu no nyoma nkoyie mayen Asamba kwa yewa bekansi say abrofo is wo mu 700 million. I say hey, and no more be say 700 million iska.
Iska.
Hwe gold a yete so quantities of gold yete so. Ye wo oil, ye wo gas, ye wo diamond, ye wo manganese, ye wo forest, ye wo den, ye wo nipa tis honorable ne wo ne ye mpanifo wo hayi na. Na ye nya $700 million a year. Na yesu. Na woyi na echi no. Na bibia dia ye pasoro. Hadrin. Oh. The level of seriousness no enyamba. Empempeso ye do Ghana hai. Ese say ye ni bere pa, ese ye ni soja. Because ye ni soja, enko ye mayen. Masa, oma ye ntimi bia tomatoes. Ye ni anum Nigeria food. Bam omuko space. Nigeria is in space. They fired their first satellite into space. Near Tiha, near Sad Eshe debris film. Brunia Ma Ididi. Where you say, Papa? Na me no, Sassam Nam say, a dreaded trouble, Debbie, near her. Macan baby. Sa tria, and of course, Parliament to honor. Near a hammock a secret woman say. Answer no man penny Babeko Parliament, na speaker. I am receiving jom training in the car cassa, Satriano. And ya cassa pabia a calum receiving job. No dika be
1 week.
Be 1 week cry. And to speak and ya cassa Satria and ya cassa power parliament to one. Penny dia woko parliament one can say would be a no a friend of Ususudia. Oh. Na unfortunately no. Man penisu kotria kakra ho. Ema mbese be befo so e boso agi boso e na ho nyina tria. Masa ya mamrem wo de mawie mfi bibia na yenko ya mamrem. Itwika tria wa hifi.
Na yenko tria wa hifi.
Yankasa ya mamrem o. Wo de forget parliamentary procedure ni aka ina no. Tria nya kasafa. Eye kasa ehunti na afedi ya ma edi kasa no kura kọ embrahye bedwam me no sada no mampeni ko kasa no wie na so me kan so sada no mum de embrahye bedwafo no akire bibi kakra se empuntuo bi ya ba wo mu se no mu ye wo no ho enka ne no ene na placards ne ne keka ho sada de bi ama until there was a slight improvement in their behavior. And I was very happy. But Chia na kubebu no na hadring. Oh. Ana Master Pastor men sort of the mechanic some no say yenjai e pasro ni. Pasro no say uje yi kura ni. Oh. Kakra de wo di famu a na a lighting tension ni adenti. It's okay. Ne ha me say o mampani no oyema ne broso. Oye ba akumienu miensan bi a kanu anu ka e be fan so ene in the normal course of things after there oye ma ne broso kakra ana me tise na o tietie mu order anu anya na djuma anu ya the function of the speaker ana kakra bi so aba mu munye ko mu de munnim hwe me na me ba be kire mo de mu fa mo pen mu notebooks ni ade hono so mutie adwunchira efi public abana a lot of people in the public did not take kindly to it on am saying nti osopeyi mensa out of wakasa am say kokobi a wodi boy na sakoko no wodi boy no se tie ni edi adwuma ka be boy yina we shi na chese sabi biara yina ya ka ho enye da bia na yensam ka no ebetosum ebetosum entosum we oka ide mefua so yasam papa even though I've disagreed with him on some major issues before no we dey am say yasam papa
right oh
yeah
no one must be
yeah said it
mama kwa ma mo na mo twa ni share president na president you be na say Adom concert party Can you even
They can answer them really from I mean, share my constituency for Mantiaqua South. Soon of was so for name can come in here mention. And then the constitute Mantiaqua South.
Okay.
Na mean that true area where from Mumudu. Sabe Mumudu for here, I was soon or some about pinning those places. But 3 weeks ago, it me a kind of boom, 2 cities. You have 40,000. You pay some repairs on our road. Your road no.
Many illegal taxes because there's a
fundraising.
Voluntary
And I say the Mammy Musa goes there.
We just organize fundraising forums.
Okay.
In 10,000 now. We are son will be adding 2 cities and that sort of thing. Equano dear since 1972. Great occurrence is Sudan.
Wow.
Udu baby gutters no home. Say car with tree. The whole car can go in. Until I reduce the quantity to only one way in several places. Oh, me want a documentary crowd, but until who says Sebi, I mean, to whom can grab by any intimate call who they are not a coin of force in a coffee, cozy, Bosso dear. Ya anya bibi disaster estimate ya start ye bibi na mame kai omo free area ho say 16th of March ni omo ntimi ama enkrasi de ni bia ye be ye fundraising bi wo teachers hall wo Adabraka 16th of March into bi amra so that's it masa seminar o kanu me say otable de no me ne ya dream me amaka o be say the state of the nation address na president ebe mae no atmosphere no look too relax afi na enipa no adwen ko so that can say twa ne ma no so ntinu say e bia na ensem o kan kra na serious do they may be no na adane agro ono ankasa president ni posture ne ne dimi no Oh, Master, so you are coming to give the State of the Nation address. The fundamentals of the economy, no, of any economy, no, and yet say you bridge waha, and I say you see hospital waha, and I say you see classroom books waha, and then the fundamentals of the economy. All over the world, you measure the fundamentals of economy. You use the world accepted indices. What is your GDP growth? And so, what is your inflation? What is your debt ratio? I know they capture the whole economy. And you say you could see bridge because and if you take economy, it grow at 8.5%. Now they know now over your stewardship, a drop to 5.8%. How can you say that the fundamentals are right? It's slippery. Over inflation, near 10.1%. Now, as you stand before the people, it has risen to 13.5%. What is sound about that? Ufa debt. The debt of the country now rising from 8.5%, 8.5 billion. Now it's about 23 billion. Then you are talking about the state of the nation. What is sound about that? It means like we are sleeping. It says it's like you are drowning, but you are saying that I'm okay. So from the metron. Me, Timino, I don't know whether because they say the framers of our constitution, they didn't define what a state of nation address should be. Until presidents be and then only John Mahama.
But they be as hard as the cover and go say, well, probably money winner because it's
president be on one funny formula. Most of the time, he come and talks about the favorable as far as the state is concerned, and we will not talk about what is unfavorable. These things that I'm talking, the name I make one say me. I don't know yet where we are as a state. That's
your understanding.
That is my understanding of state. It's like it is a company balance sheet. So a company the balance sheet, then the say as at now, no, you will stop to say. From last year, you will see. This year, you will see. The balance sheet will be a 2. 2011, 2012. The 2011 now your property you see. This year about say 2012 say. It is a snapshot of the state. It's not about what you do or what you say. I'll do that. I will do that. I know the class one boy be a bit more better. Can be brilliant. But that is the state of the economy. Have plans. Will be a bit more. And to me, sir, constitutional gap, if I like, I define what should come into a state of nation. I'm only way for presidents over the years have done injustice to the Ghanaians. They don't tell us what the state of the Ghana. They tell us it's like a campaign platform, like a manifesto or maybe even a budget. And you will see that over state of the address from all over the years now. You promise. Yeah. That is not the state of the country. So promises obey as Ankara go about your road. No one yet. Now next you have a promise, no one yet. What has that got to do with the state of the nation? Those promises are not the state of the state as it is now. There be said promises, they are making out a whole Bible of promises. But as it is saying, and say them a kind state of a nation defined by certain well-known international accepted parameters. And yet you basic next year no you basic hospital say and now your basic schools say that is the state of the nation. No.
All right, but
honorable, microeconomic statistics and fundamentals. Yeah, make here say better say
yeah.
The son say gross domestic product between a cost between a double, and there will still be no development in your country.
No, I don't agree with you.
It is true?
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
Depends upon what you call development.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't agree with you.
Okay. You won't agree with me, but I trust you be a better. Gross domestic product, a statistical average. And a statistical average which incorporates what is produced in your free zone areas. And I'm
listening.
It incorporates what your gold mining firms are producing. And
yeah.
All those things form part of the aggregation. Now, where the Maminka Puto Kasana Kakra. Now, Ufa gold mining sector now, you have already signed a foreign exchange retention agreement with them, which enables them to keep 98% of their foreign exchange earnings abroad. Exactly. So, in fact, what it means, they say, 98% now you are factoring into your gross domestic product. It is not available locally for your development. And yet it is part of your gross domestic product. What's the American answer? Now, if you take the advanced economies, one GDP growth per annum, is around 1%. And the critical question is 1% of what? So what kind of 1% to pay? Now we are coffee. I mean the real figures, the real countries now, you'll be misleading people. You understand? Now, the developing countries or so-called developing countries, no, we need to grow faster because of the existing gap on them channel. The potential to grow is much bigger and so on. That's why we need to grow faster. Now, so when I say, in calculating this since last year, if an economy's GDP grew by 50%, it means that the size of the economy is 1.5% this year. If that economy grows by 10%, the economy may be much, much bigger in terms of the quantum of the growth, much, much bigger than the 20% which we expect, 50% which we experienced much earlier. That's right. So these are statistical averages that we need to explain properly and so on. Now, inflation is one other area.
I think I want to debunk what he's saying.
Yeah,
on the gross domestic, because there are definitions that he's throwing about that are not correct.
Standard definitions, basic economics.
I'm an economist.
It doesn't matter. Basic economics. I've studied economics all my life.
I'm talking about.
You understand? Basic economics. These are statistical averages. They are statistical averages.
But it depends upon how you understand them. Because now you are talking about how you understand them. It's different from how somebody else understands them.
Master, gross domestic product, is an aggregation. Last year, if you grow by 100%, it means that your economy has doubled.
That is where, let me explain something for my brother. You see,
but what man can you?
Over to us.
I won't see a butcher. I won't see a butcher.
The opposite in Shima Butcher Baron. Now, Chairman, but I'm going to say that aggregation. And then the me your man said, "Oh, my name is Itiana," because okay.
We are over here. We are over here.
And I'm person with Trimu.
Who is here? One of the things that we play around, for example, your per capita income. Per capita income is also another aggregation. Let me tell you, average, a statistical average. And the case per capita income, no, a cost rate. And no just will be a woman, be a Nisika, a cost rate. Because it is possible that 10% of the population, woman income can jump by 1,000% or more. And 90% of the population, woman income can decline. When you strike the average, you get the impression of a jump. When in reality it will not affect everybody. Now, inflation. Inflation is not always negative. I say, why? Inflation is not always negative. The most important factor is the context within which inflation is either rising or falling. Because you can be chasing inflation to reduce inflation and at the same level, through that method, reduce the capacity to produce. You understand? Reduce even the money supply in the economy and so on by chasing inflation. Inflation, that is what the economists call inflation targeting. Okay, I used before your statement here about inflation targeting and its possible dangerous consequences for the economy and so on. And to me, I'm interested in the framework within which inflation is either rising or falling, and not the absolute figures alone. I want to understand what is happening. Gross domestic product here making. Sometimes it is also very, very important to look at the sector which is leading it. In fact, in the 1970s, the sector which led the growth in the gross domestic product was the service sector. Hotels, restaurants, car hiring, and so on. If that takes place, can you confidently say that the economy is doing well? Because you'll be experiencing growth, but what does the growth mean in terms of, the economy and so on?
I see.
Yo, the entire make us and say gross domestic product, sell your kind. It has always included contribution by foreigners and foreign interest. To say, said, okay, go to phone. It has always been there that activities of companies, it has always been there. So when it was there 2 years ago, and the economy was growing at 8.5%, it is there this year, and then it's dropped to 5.8%. What do you mean, Kase? Because some foreigners are involved in part of the economy, you know, the gross domestic product is not growing and it's not falling. It has always been there. It has, and you said this year na again. When you are measuring gross domestic product, in the proper measure, we take out the economic. You take out the production of foreigners and add the production of our citizens almost more outside. That is how we calculate it. That is the scientific definition. And yet, internal production, we take out these things. But what I'm saying is that even if you don't take it out, it is not as if said this year, and foreigners na beka home. Last year, 2 years ago, when we were growing at 8.5, they were there. This year, they were there. So you can even say that, for that matter, they cancel out. Do you understand what I mean? And you know, we are really looking at the productivity of indigents. Anyway, I understand what he's saying. If we say that gross domestic product are called up, it doesn't mean that circumstances have gone up. That one I accept him. The distribution of the production itself, no, is not even. Yes, some area, maybe services sector may be growing very fast. Agriculture may not be growing. But it has always been the same aggregate. You understand? Services sector, agriculture, industry, that have been put together to say that we are at 5%. So when we move later, and we are saying we have dropped to 3%, it is the same component that we are talking about.
The factor for that drop.
The factor for that drop, and they say, of course, if, for instance, let's take agriculture. Let's take the cocoa sector. If the incentives that have been given to agric, so that over the years the growth in agric cocoa sector went up to maybe 1 billion tons or whatever they call it, and then those incentives, like we are no more spraying the cocoa, we are not doing, we are no more doing the ETEC, so the thing has dropped to 800,000 tons. Then of course the total production in the country would drop. I'm just using the cocoa sector. It is the same way. Industry, if by a combination of policies, like, okay, say most of the industries in Ghana use raw materials that are imported, so all of a sudden the economy is in crisis, so we add 20% to import VAT. Then we turn around again, we add 80% to electricity, which industry uses. Then water goes up by 58%. So most companies are either folding up. Do you understand? Are either folding up, or they are not producing. So industry is not more being supported, and it's dying. And then the gross domestic product will die.
I see. All right.
So yes, I understand that even though gross domestic product may be growing, but individuals may even be worse off in the economy. But how else can you measure the productivity in the country? It has to be the total growth in percentage.
All right.
Eventually. So what the pan say? Enipa bebre na ebi anom income 100 Ghana cedis per year, when the gross domestic product was maybe growing at 8%. Now that is growing less. Some of them, their economy, their incomes will be shrinking because company full up because of higher production cost. He no more earning an income.
Or any
crash. And that is how nobody is saying that when it goes up, everybody becomes okay. But by and by, it raises the wealth of the individuals, is the wealth of the nation.
All right. Angozi.
I must say, Sanya Midi Kanka and Honorable One Tomasi, Ebia went to me. Not someone may can say, Namse and I being yet more henty. Yes, I'm calm. Me say, the value of the production does not stay in this country. It does not matter whether Anglo Gold Ashanti is Ghanaian or foreign. The problem is the foreign exchange retention agreement, which enables them to keep 98% of their export revenue outside the economy. And it's an Anglo Gold Ashanti, a Ghanaian company, ne foreigner, Ghanaian company. Now, say, your mawon coin, say, no more, or the Quamanoni, no, Nibuano, a moon 98%, or won't find a Kosia Manoni, it shouldn't be in the Ghanaian economy. The same situation would apply. So it is not about whether the companies are foreign or they are Ghanaian. That's not the issue. It's about what stays in the Ghanaian economy.
I didn't say that was the issue.
Oh, when I say foreigners,
I was saying,
I'm not talking about foreigners.
What goes
out is not because it's not because they are foreigners.
And I'm telling you that
it is not because they are foreigners.
What goes out has always gone out. It is not a new thing.
The point is,
that's another argument. That's another argument. But the point must be understood. So I am not saying that because foreigners are working in the economy.
Against what goes out. I'm against it.
Exactly. No problem. Honorable. Let our viewers understand the points we are making.
GDP. That's my point.
Let our viewers understand the points we are making. I'm saying, if you are calculating GDP, you are bringing together the total level of production, including what does not stay in the economy.
I'm saying that is.
And unless you are going to tell me, saying the calculation,
that is not correct. That is not how they calculate it.
All right.
As a matter of fact,
textbooks also good. That's not how they calculate it.
Master Honorable Pacho, are you honestly telling our viewers? Are you honestly telling our viewers that in the calculation of GDP, gold production is not factored?
Gold production is factored, but I'm saying that.
But you are saying that it's not factored.
No, listen to me. I'm saying that when they do calculation, they take out what goes out as foreign productivity.
Including the 98%?
Yes.
Yes. Who does that calculation?
That is how GDP
Who does that calculation?
Go and find out. That is how GDP is calculated.
It's not
and
true.
Then if we have Ghanaians, you see, if we have Ghanaians companies, maybe in Nigeria or something, and
yeah, the
agreement productivity of Ghana.
Pacho.
That is what I'm saying.
Just one moment. Honorable, can you, in all honesty and sincerity, tell our viewers one Ghanaian company outside which is bringing us, which is repatriating its capital and profit to Ghana? Tell us one.
My friend, that is not what we are talking about.
Just one.
That is not what we are talking about.
That is what we are talking about.
You are talking about the definition of GDP. And I'm telling you that when they are calculating GDP, they take out what I call foreign, which is called whether it's a Ghanaian company or what goes out. A productivity that doesn't stay here, they take it out.
And that part of the calculation.
No.
That productivity engine.
No. And gold 10% in Yebenya. What did you say? 10% in Yebenya. That percent is added to GDP. If 90% they take it out. Yes. That is how it's supposed to be done.
Honorable, what are you calculating? Are you calculating
domestic? That's why it's called domestic.
Domestic what?
GDP. What do you know what it means? It's domestic productivity.
Yeah, and the domestic. What does the domestic mean?
Ghanaians, production by Ghanaians and for Ghanaians, and which stays in the economy. And I'm telling you that if there's a Ghanaian company in Lagos,
this is not true.
Okay.
What you're saying is not true. There's no definition of GDP. There's no definition of GDP which says that GDP is only what Ghanaians produce.
I didn't say that.
That's what you're saying.
I'm saying in the calculation, they take out
what foreigners produce.
What foreigners produce that will go out. Do you understand? The interest of foreigners that will go out is a domestic
part of that calculation.
Yes, and then whatever.
Ghanaians, Newmont's production does not feature in the calculation.
Whatever Ghanaians everywhere, if they have also gone to sign agreements and they are doing logging or anything, that allows them to repatriate some a percentage of their earnings into this country. That is added to GDP.
Ebasi ye bu oman ye bu nkonta omufasodi omojuma kes a omo ye pote omo ye no ebasi ye sese
Yeah, gross domestic product.
I was some more than bona. Your first money in Anka, on boom. 2% again, you can 1918.
Yes, our interest in that activity, no. And only the kind of GDP, and yet they go out. And if people,
anyway,
you see, but I'll tell you something.
I'm sure that many people are watching us.
No.
There are many economists who are watching us.
I'm sure.
And
let
they
me tell
will
you
bring
something.
clarification to this matter. So I'm not going to push it
there
anymore.
Are some companies, I mean, some countries that don't do it. They don't do it that way. But that is the proper definition of domestic production.
Okay, I mean that's 1760.
I don't have to overflock it.
I said, yes,
because the
it's out there. Yes, people will listen. It's out there.
People who are listening
Everybody will listen.
But there's one point, Honorable, yeah. I think that it's a true reflection. You understand? It's a very true reflection of the situation. Say, this is how things have been all the years. So we are not comparing apples with oranges, as they say.
Life for life.
So, if it's like I say, a figure, so they calculated if 98% went out and was reflected or was not reflected, that is still the ongoing situation on them. So, to that extent, I think Honorable is right. My problem, I want to say, we tend to look at the figures as absolutes. In economics, there are no absolutes. Figures are relative. Otherwise, the study of economics will not make any sense. If everything is absolute, the study of economics will not make any sense. So you are talking about relativities. And it's important all the time to establish those relativities. Otherwise, economics will not make sense.
You see, that is why when I said that when we are looking at the state of the economy, we should look at where we are last year or 3 years ago. What was the GDP growth rate?
But that's,
that is relativity.
And your own tears here.
No.
Would you define? That's correct. No, because okay. And actually, my question is.
When I started, me say, if the economy or the GDP is a major measure of economic activity, drops from 8.5% to 5%, we cannot see the fundamentals are right. I've always been comparing relativity, and I said that if the debt rose from $8.5 billion to $23 billion, then it means that we cannot say we are doing well.
No,
the fundamentals are right. So I also agree with you on that one. We don't have a disagreement.
The fundamentals are not correct.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about the interpretation.
17.
You see, because in this country,
in this country,
in this country, we've come to the junction there. Obiatis inflation cost repair. When we say disaster, Obiatis inflation about from pay. Or this is a it is not so.
I agree with you.
No study of economics teach you. A-level economics where we teach you.
The inflation, it doesn't necessarily mean that cost for
it is the context within which inflation is rising or falling which is important.
Inflation, a certain level of inflation is necessary for economic growth.
Maybe necessary.
Okay, maybe necessary for economic growth.
Necessary.
But you see, economists also know that when it gets to a certain point, a certain level, I mean, most economists will say that inflation of 5% in an economy is usually good, and it helps in production. But when you go beyond 10%, then it also becomes counterproductive. So people know. Of course, the ordinary people may not know, but people know that yes, it's good.
Some of the text messages are making kind of back yes, and 1760 not Odiabre. Nanaya, you are looking good with your hair. Who is your co-equal? Honorable Kwesi Ajiman Jantutu is the current MP for Tyne, not Joe Danko, as mentioned in your just ended news item on Badwam, in connection with the state of the Brekum Sekwa Road. Amai, do you know that any person who received his or her salary through GCB is to leave 50 cedis in his accounts? I like the way you present your program. God bless you. My teacher Yakuma from Kwame Dazu. Please, there's a problem with your transmission. No problem. Reach off it and then reset. Scan. It will come. Good morning. Your voice is coming out. Doesn't correspond with your lip sync. Technical department. And this one says, Nanaya, I like the way you always fire them. Don't fear anybody. Nobody can touch you. From Sapona Santikede, please, Omain, I learned the workers of Cocobo who retired in years of 2012 and 2013 have not yet received their incentives yet, but those in 2014 are about to receive theirs. So please ask what is happening to pensioners. Please help us. I fully support Pastor Otapel. Ghanaians must be serious and stop joking. Life is serious. From Opambo Ajiman Kasapin. And please, what is Ghana Commercial Bank doing? Talk to them. 50 Ghana cedis is too much. We will die from Obed. And 50 Ghana cedis, if that is a Ujatum, Unisikari, Untimis, but all the banks, and I know all banks.
All banks. Some banks, you don't even have to deposit to open an account.
Okay.
Yeah, not all of them.
Okay, so you are wishing your lovely daughter, Fiwa Mona Lisa, as if she Subri Sum Quanta, a happy birthday. She's now 2 years. By teacher Augustine was another way about. So that's it. My number 1760. Now, with the Abrain, near Chimakin Kamau. And this one gets to +233 Kumasi for that place, high tension pool as a great coup for the warning. Akubo, but still is operating. +2. I don't know, but that's the information we are getting. Several warnings from great coup, but still, more pretty high tension. As a no impact be one.
Nagra. Chop bar, restaurant, ni has a high tension as it. The crazy see a dying or high tension as it. And cry higher. Baby Abekubia, Kumasepe. And then Kumasi.
What's happening?
According
Ghana, as I say, Obi and Nimraso. Obi and Yope.
Some of these television and antennas and mobile phone, and they are all in very domestic. Obi and Nisinifi. Who call me Chromo sooner? It is a relay link or something. Say relay from Accra. The next pickup is at Osuno areas there. To call all the telephone companies. Don't antennas. Everyone is will be fee. Sika Kakra obedient. Nisili ni fee in the compound. And there had been one incident. Bino. It was a tea a she will be a young punk like you can. Oh, a she will be in a fee and impair because of Adina is in fee. But Greek for power, only that power to just take people out of the place, and as it is because the educated the impact in the show. Young train money be a disaster, then be affected. What
disaster can see a preoccuped to send media for you pay accident will be a plan. Maybe an uncle Banasa. Ebi ana yare. It will be basa, but
maybe some of them say radiation be if it is above a certain level, it's cancerous. Almost every radiation. Yeah, no, the level is low. It's not. It's acceptable level, but who knows who is measuring, who is checking?
Oh, I'm sorry. There are before when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama so catch them. It's the third match. Before when I'm sure by 10 o'clock then you try to apasu tramana and the so Philip Picasso in the air juma. Dasha Asiano no. Say the EBCC Dino am accessibility air juma. Now 2015-2016 academic year no. Here ko any man sir. Free SHS progressively.
You enka enya de bone self because we say President John Mahama or any campaign against another free see accessibility quality and important accessibility in the sense say if you cry pass umunya it's going to be inco. So that is what they were saying cry pass so umunya baby inco because you need buildings you need yama. Na then I was any free, nipa be brave. Into a bantino. It made sense, but the reality is whether we know any another political gimmick. Because all them say sword cutting there, say sword cutting koa there anka His Excellency several free baby ko anka any problem. Dr. Atamos. You cut it sword baby. How many of them and are materialized? You cut it STS sword Akatokraba, you can't count it. So I hope say and yet just another political argument. Didn't you make us answer and say accessibility? There are so many schools get fund, air funding. Stand still because of funds. You say get fund, dormitories near there almost or some of the diseases. Maybe a stand still because of funds. In fact, in a case in my Chrome or senior secondary school, one way she done every up into ready for occupancy. Contractor no see in Chianica, and Tibe 1 year. Keys no were captured in a contractor because get fund in Chiano Neka, and he also Afadano. And Colano so help baby ako. Ain't you know President Yasis and Yeme so the get fund in the bay. Ebinuma yebi 1 year in Chia on Kadia. Na me where he will get them up. Maybe wait make I say Obako Jilo. Now they are here, and now Wakojilo, no they are here. But Ojilo now, I would have thought said Bibrioha Untriaunka, so many billions. Ain't he? Can those ones be used to accessibility number? The answer also could see for fra that no a be why you complete here because of debt. Again, SAR 200 secondary school she me again is the funding. This year budget about parliament there was no funding in that. Say school and the budget was not there. And meaning Safena, you did budget for Beba. Now take care of this. And I say, if anybody is going to free. What is it? Most government officials, any breakers, say, single spine, who take out of our revenue. Now take statutory payments. Then we are at 99.something% of our it takes about 90-something, 97 or 99% of our revenue. So what it means is that some more kind of creature in there. See, can be what if it's a loan, the loan, as I said,
Adia president that become Rashibi so only who named the only man more tour. Who is over because when baby as a care free bar or day yes, edge media or Kawazim. I don't know. Abuja Mashibi.
Opa, Mammy, Kofa. The president Bekai 2013 and Yama na a woman or see obey. Na me find compared why Nika and a shortcut, it doesn't mean anything. The red dynamic actually say budget now you approval for 2014. See kebianim for these projects. What you say? And either say president or Kobo Besian or the other Besian no parliament. I like that projects number by but I have my doubts. Because I mean, and I make sure say, if the president and his men are telling the truth, say, Ghana, revenue, no, yes, pay salaries and a single spine. Now you pay statutory payment to say get fund only this year's fund. It's up to about 99% of our revenue. So where is the money coming from for this? That is my only worry. Otherwise, why not? And you know, that is why I need to be bringing so this SHS promise, no. Where is the basis? Because you see, again, around December 2012, our fundamentals of the economy were reasonably sound. I told you. We said that this project, they said it will collapse the economy. If we implement SHS, it will collapse the economy. So now that we all know, say, we are in crisis, a little bit of financial crisis, and the fundamentals have actually worsened. Where are we going to get the money from?
Somebody knows what say quality and accessibility. T and I work with you EC and 9 year.
But has the quality improved? Has the accessibility improved now? Quality of education, has it improved? From that time, Abesine, in 2008, BCE percentage rate was around 60%. As we talk now, it's hovering around 45%. Has the quality improved? Accessibility, yes. I can tell you, say, last year, 2013. This is assemblies. Obia seeker for doing things like this, service money. We didn't go. There was all projects came to a standstill because the money that will be sent to district assemblies, regional assemblies, but to do school block here or they didn't go. So has the accessibility improved? What has changed? If anything, the economic fundamentals show that we are in a worse situation than 2012. But if now we say we can do it, we need the president to come and explain further to us how to be funded, how much is it going to cost and all that. We are not getting information about all these things.
I see.
So we don't even know, almost a day secondary school, right? A day, so whether they are going to build 6 classroom block like we do for primary school now, and then call it community secondary school, we don't know. Nobody has seen the design.
The shortcut, no impression.
The designs are in the newspapers today.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. So I'm saying that we are happy with it, but we are worried whether it's not just another political gambling, because for shortcutting, we have seen plenty. Where is the money coming from? You should tell us.
How is it?
Oh, Master.
10 o'clock, yeah.
Yes, it will be anywhere. Was it from some papa saw me so? Yankasa. Na Honorable Ankasa dear to me say project is a year money dear ya the papa. On him, sir. The some power ni bi ano. Na some of the observations Honorable raised here, Utie and some I church much ya. Ne kwan so ano. Access, quality, not only the hindrance to free education, SHS. And Opayembo Dundu, or my penny in their so-called form. We have projection now. At least 50 new SHS will be ready by 2015. And I'm able. That's the projection. Yeah, that's the projection, 50. And then we call even boarding facilities near the Okra students are over 1,000. And I'm able. In today's facilities, no design there, it may even be able to take more. But they offer an average of 1,000 students per school. 1,000 students per school. Times 50. Meanwhile, Roman Peninsula, they bet you just say, free SHS no, best started 2015 for day students. Until the number of day students who will be eligible to enjoy free SHS from 2015 no, at least will be increased by 1,000 times 50. That's huge. It's impressive. And you can see a programmed approach towards the implementation of the free SHS program. Honorable Kase, a bosh any day, and with me and Tempa, so I had. Meaning I dream. As a born baby, oh, I sha, yen this so, fitty. Go for Shabwa or Mundiso. It is possible. Now, you no more, ye dumb opposition parties, no, ya enjoy you. A buying ye name paper. Bad a penny, Nutie, and Framaniswa. We are now, almost one by a 50 SHS, an average of 50 SHS per year. It became a major propaganda against the government. And then, almost the Assoy Kobo form. Martin, Deputy Minister of Education, made by annual class, the contractors are already on site. One beshed man said they also contractors are already on site in several places and so on. And Senyamincha, they are buying to me, Koye. Now, by next year, no, in Nasa school here. Nasa ordinary voter trainers will tier 2 sites now. Omomukasa buying to me yet, or buy your nyeshi. And I buy your car, say, Obetimi, no bayano. Who gains credibility? What in American say? Who gains credibility? And the media, opposition political parties, no, it is important, say, government is taking on bigger, broader issues rather than on small specific promises, because Abamit may go to by the time of the elections, the only they are buying, otumi na adwen sɛ sika bi a ke bi a de kɔ ebibi no yɛnda ne mfa nkɔhyɛ wɔ mu just to prove say wo nya wo can abani aban bi betwe esa masa it's so easy now 50 schools ahiara you can sacrifice one project and get the 50 schools just to prove say wo nya wo can abani. And sometimes I think we have to be very, very cautious in the issues we raise and the manner in which we raise them. Because you are dealing with governments, and governments have a certain advantage that the opposition doesn't have. Wamu neti yesikaso. Ama muni na etuanto boa. Wamu neti so. You understand? So they have a certain leeway which the opposition doesn't have, and I think it's important that the opposition recognizes that.
All right.
Na masa suku sɛm ɛhadwen honorable ka sɛ wokɔ mmea bebree a contractors yɛsi school dan na wie aso yɛntua wɔn ka nokorɛ ɛnyɛ anopɛ ebinom ayɛ akwan yɛntua wɔn ka ebinom supply aduane to government institutions yɛntua wɔn ka National Health Insurance Authority service providers are providing service in Tiawonka and so on. I can't now. And no thing a deficit no holo. A deficit no holo.
I know your addition. Deficit no be say what you read and what you are to say what the income when you are broso. Where there is an addition.
Okay, but that will depend on how you calculate your deficit.
You try 1 minute back,
okay, that will depend on how you calculate your deficit.
All right, Yadamasi, Yasai Aba, EPJ Moa, Edisa, EPJ Moa, and I brefo, Edo Trust Copim say, Nondu Ebebo. Mammy, and counsel Lucky Eba Clinic for one other remark, Yadibia done the crown crowd out to be, I say, and have a low sperm count, and which you will also now or pre. Fakodom, Lucky Heba Clinic, one of ultra modern scientific research herbal clinic bia nyoma e koso honum no ade eboama ona si area no kwan ana wona bre asekra mono nyoma bia odwa so no bia lucky herbal bitters akutia koko ana no lucky herbal mixture so no unia malaria e2 so sa no o de ko e ye free precope e de ama fresh number si 0243201244 and 0277465855 and 0242238745 na one ni answer also. Well, I'm going to see more on the issues of doctors here at Ghana Medical Association after Ministry of Health for Adom and by Ghana Medical Association for also a state on position na sans name internet in Evanco.
Well, I'm saying no credit woman says sir mamena okowo ewo konfanochia ninsan kan ne ba emu no so ninsan kan no asem bia unse Ghana for edi atire pa omo raised passions. In fact, doctor for no cry na say any nurse for no man for bi cry ko bu won ne keka ho. Passions are very, very high on this issue. Now, certainly best say both sides are buying all the sides actually are buying family, no, and a doctor for you. Now, you're doing the bigger issue of health for the nation. Now, Kobasa, be having doctors here. Someone more can say, and say, Doctor, be able to pay me and sapeni at the more Ghana, my MOBia. Now, near almost say, a Minister of Health, no. Sa suspension be odima doctor ni ba ko ni nurse no ke say fa proper procedure mo ni ade Usha, she acted on the basis of a recommendation in the report. So ye ni ye sa ni ye ade between transmiaka ye hu kwan ya de be fa so na ko ban se me na me wo tumi me na me ni tumi me kwa dwuma me kwa dwuma sa de a be ha obia nti na nya butre ne kan yie na amanfo enya hoto
Right.
masa ni men prepi no doctor for ho a o se me tie atua me nkwaduma bia na wo tinkan ye na wo kolebo bia na wo fasi bi de na onu kofodua no wo na wo nhwe nkrafo no kofoduafo no so nhwe kofoduafo wanya abehwe na doctor ni kura no onu ni busuani ana ni nuana na danfo bi ho aka na onu so akohwe me nkwa mu menye duma ni ye na obi anya hoto.
Right. Oh.
Yeah, I'm saying many kwesi yadwin say sa issue no I kofa we nyina bae no abofra na ye ko na ye hunu ni ade no eno de ese nya botu na hwehwe because Ghana for akomadi ekiti Ghana for akomanda so pa na in doing so megidi say no interest procedures, so you should not follow them. Zabi we could be called investigation na ebi onipa na or you involved no crime no the report no crime is not given an opportunity to speak to it na said okay kolebu friend saying kolebu kofanot on so more management wo there may be procedures answer na ya terminate your appointment and ya sanction. Those things must be gone through. There's a minister and one yen stadia, Ebiana procedure and one yen. I think say he can ratify it. And now, Meso meaning the admin say, Doctor for no yes wrong. You better any permits and policy in the Omunian free. Because I'm going to name say, Doctor for because me call me villager. We call Osino Health Center. Me kona nursing assistant and as some person say. On your doctor superintendent back nipa be 60-70 over here on 90 minimum say bit be frame yes apo let's say comfort cho omugu horo do so mo fa bi mra Osuno Health Center any Bagro Health Center because we connect 200 people ho na doctor roti ho na nti how say we be ka say over here doctors yes that's it patient that's what we are say omo hwe be 10 where the Minister of Health any panel doors or 200 doctors for one hospital ebini Bagro District Hospital ebini was also health center ebini Osuno Health Center mo fe bi mra ho the average ni be 50 a day
go village je go that's frontier ko south and go say that but I mean you bring in ho o party na nkasa light spotlight bi am person this year so na we na manya full account of this particular gentleman Paul Afoko Koen. They see within quite horrible.
Massa, don't listen to one side.
Daddy, I don't know. We said, but you are fine. I mean, go to the back because now I'm
so there was when your so there was when your full details. I know that
that's all judge.
Massa, Pacho.
Don't listen to one side.
Whether we like it or not, will be the petition, a comma vetting committee. Petition and some woman voting committee to me and boom fast okay on the ship. What most of more and non just one tear for la foco and that's one more time the cheap. Yadena Coban's woman ye. That's what move fast when I said three a bands and some more petition we no crowd. Or more book party no party to me and never. Enti ehwehwe mu nwomo ye obi anya botre ensem bi o ha Paul Afoko supporters na kan enye nokre edikan obi anko vetting committee nko kan say eye owura Paul Afoko no okoda prison because na onije Rollins no more face so there's nothing like that before the vetting committee but they are putting that information out
as if that is there
obi anko kan o vetting committee say onu Paul Afoko no ye nduru bone obi ankasa. The allegation in the petition is allegation that he spent some time in a drug rehabilitation center. And look at vetting committee for no person some look at BP. And they have good reason because Ukokana say echeno say enye no kra oguopa no fi kwa. Into the vetting committee has been very very responsible. Very responsible.
Minimum allegation kwa.
Anya onu ankasa Paul Afoko ni nsam ka ni ade a ka we nyina akwa ko bi ante nti obi anya bo
but ni nyina mu no na mka say we judge
ana say o sabi office remuti ne ya na sa
na de nka o
na so mo kasa
o de wa be kasa na ne nje ka we
o mo kasa
na ne nje ka we so
supporters no so kan
oh David
do mo jaka na
because it's not in the interest of Poafoko Kra say make kasa said but me dey mean honestly because me need inside information be well, we know inside information. You try to take a class. Vetting committee no. Omukra ma out and can say we cry any allegation. Obedi eto Poafoko so. Me where do you who person me work obisa on be catch me? No.
And I must the claim say a petition no. Anonymous petition no. And also no correct. In fact, Mitie Ura Martin Kosa. What you say, near all the petition no correct. Was signed, what thrown din, an address, any BBR. It is not true. I can almost spread this out false with no all over the place.
Can we see her? Namia Adma, it's now the chair. A rabbit was. Namia before I crowd over.